soon. It's loading. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good night. We are the Melanated Council, as you can see right there. Right there. And we stream every other Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And wherever you are out in the world and we are streaming, that is when we stream. Sorry, let me get this. Where is this? Oh, my bad. Hey. Hey, Rocky. Good to see you.
I think Rocky's first.
Yeah. What's Gucci?
Was Gucci.
On a Tuesday. Trying hard to get my freestyling up.
Hey, it don't take a whole lot.
What's cracking? What's
Yeah,
cracking, Cuzzo? I don't know how to properly respond to that, so I would do very poorly in the hood. What's cracking, Cuzzo? I don't know how to, because I know it's for the Crips, but I don't know how to respond.
Oh, I got you. Oh, Rocky, you took the words right out of my mouth. What's popping? Yes. What's popping?
What's that song like? What's poppin'? Brand new whip. Just I forgot what. I can't remember how the song goes. Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah. If you're new to the channel, of course, I forgot this. Please like, share, and subscribe. And enjoy the show. That's the most important part, is to enjoy the show. And yeah. So we usually, we have a topic for tonight. It is the future of the economy. Very excited, very interesting topic. We wanted to talk about pretty much what's going on, like what to think about in the future, and the economy, of course, is something that is incredibly important and relevant to our lives. I don't know if you've, when it comes to inflation, and also there's been a lot of layoffs in several different companies and things like that. So we just wanted to talk and talk about this, and yeah.
Yes.
But we usually like to one second. We usually like to start off kind of talking about ourselves. But first and foremost, we're going to let on our third guest. I don't know, he rang in, but I don't see his camera. Oh, I see it. This is a little dark.
What is up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I just got home. I was trying to call in a little bit earlier, but I ended up not getting to call till early. I just basically parked, but we out here. Yeah. Looks like we're live. I see 2 people watching.
Yes, we're live.
What's up, internet?
What's up, internet?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, right. I feel like that's just, I don't know, everything takes place on the internet. But yeah, true. All right. I gotta figure out a better thing for these name tags, but I haven't been able to figure. I just have to just change it live. I don't know what else. Oh shoot, It's tea time. Tea for Toby.
Yeah. Tea time.
Mm-hmm. Toby, it looks like your camera stopped. But regardless, yeah, so, like with the economy today and what it's more than likely going to be in the future, um,
Mhm.
that looks like he. But yeah, Ron, what are your thoughts on it?
Mm. Well, I know within a lot of my financial circles, a lot at the point where they're thinking, especially with the U.S. economy, they're looking at the U.S. economy possibly tanking back to 2008 numbers, just
Oh,
due to the
okay.
fact, yeah, just due to the fact that, of course, we're seeing a lot of jobs or a lot of people in various different jobs. As Elle put it once before, a lot of them are just letting people go. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the jobs that were once popular, they're slowly becoming unpopular. And even then, a lot of your skilled jobs, a lot of your high paying jobs, they're becoming less and less attractive. And so now we're just kind of at this point where it's like, okay, what do we do? Where do we go? Because the way how everything is going, it almost feels as though the bubble is going to pop. The rug's going to get pulled from underneath our feet. And what is going to happen when everything in a nutshell just kind of crashes all at once? So um, a lot of them they've been talking about like this should probably be a good time if nobody has starting to do so. Now would probably be a good time to start dusting off the notebooks and pretty much getting a good foundation as far as investing, as far as trading goes, as far as pretty much working for yourself goes, as far as generate income, multiple streams of income. So that way, if and when the crash does happen, you'll be fine.
Right.
It just be aware of everything that's going on. I mean, we look at the price of groceries, and right now we see that, yeah, inflation is very much real. And you look at the rate of wages increasing to meet those inflation prices, they haven't gone up. They pretty
Mm-hmm.
much in single digits for the most part since what, the 60s, the 70s, and everything else has gone up twice, if not triple times since then.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're just still stuck trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do? Where do we need to go from here? I remember the missus, she was doing something on, it was either on Instagram or on TikTok, one of those two. And she kind of paused and she said, "Hey, watch this." He's like, "What do you think?" And it was Fat Joe. And he was doing
Okay.
a, um I guess an inspirational speech or whatnot. And he was basically saying that how he knew somebody, probably his aunt or a relative of his, was working at the same company for like 20 some odd years. Went in faithfully, never missed a beat, showed up on time, did what she was supposed to do, yada, yada, yada. So when the company closed and whatnot, hey, Extreme,
Hey, Madness. Good to
what's going
see.
on?
Blessings, blessings.
And so he was saying that she worked for the same company 20 plus odd years, And when the company closes doors, rather her pretty much getting what she was worth, they told her, "Hey, we can't pay you. Sorry, you got to go." And so you think about her pension that she was saving with the same company, couldn't get that. Her final paycheck couldn't get that. And so even the benefits was pretty much gone. And so she walked out the company having nothing. And it was
Mm.
kind of like, and it was kind of foul because it was like, he was like, we got to get outside this mindset because the world doesn't owe you anything. These
Mm-hmm.
companies, they don't owe you nothing. They don't have to pay you anything. You could just show up and they can say, "Hey, you know what? We're not going to pay you this week because you know it's not the fact that we can't. We just don't want to." And it's like, okay, what are you going to do for now? What are you going to do? You knowing that rent's due, bills are due, everything is pretty much going to be due. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of brought home, this is with the time when you have to be pretty much self sufficient, where you have to work for yourself, where you're going to have to do a lot of things for yourself because at the end of the day, it's going to happen. Whether you're ready for it or not, whether you want to do it or not, it's going to happen.
Right.
And you could cry about it, but if you don't have a plan set in place, you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, true. True. Honestly, I've been thinking a lot about like just other forms of income and like what else I can do and to like make money because like it because it's just one of those things where it's like when is my like luck going to run out. It's possible that it
Right.
may never, it's possible that it just may never run out. And I'll
Hmm.
just be um I'll be gainfully employed, m- you know up until retirement or something. I don't know. But like it just feels like like the ground beneath my feet is starting to kind of like is starting to shake,
Hmm.
and like it could be. I mean, I can't really say it's like mainly in my head, but like because things are getting expensive, things have definitely kind of I feel like calmed down
Hmm.
personally because like I was like refusing to go to like this one particular grocery store down here, Publix, because it just got
Hmm.
ridiculously expensive for no reason. And I've just been like, refusing to go.
Hmm.
But I went the other day and I was like, the prices aren't really like that bad anymore. Like there are still certain things that are just astronomical, but now I know other grocery stores to go to get some of those things. But I guess regardless of all that, it's just I don't want to be behind. Like I don't want to be broke
Right.
because like I gotta think like I know growing up like with my parents I felt that. I know how that pressure is, and when I was a kid I made a promise to myself to never live paycheck to paycheck, and thankfully I haven't. Like since I've graduated college and become like, like in my career salaried and everything. But like I'm just kind of freaking out of like there's probably going to be a day where that happens.
Hmm.
Sorry, let me read Rocky's things. I've had it up for a while. I know so many people who've quit with no notice because they're thinking they don't fire us with 2 weeks notice, so why should I give it to them?
Well,
Uh,
that's true.
yeah, I can understand that. Saving is becoming more important than ever for is becoming more important than ever for people. I know some people who switching becoming self sufficient like gardening to save money. Oh, like gardening for like food or gardening for other people to make money?
Yes.
Because I can imagine in California, like gardening for other people could be very lucrative, for sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny, Rocky said that because my oldest, we had a conversation Sunday, and he was like, he asked his mom. He said, "Mom," he's like, "What's the best way to save?" And she was like, I am the wrong person to ask that question because I really don't know. And she was being open and transparent about it. She was like, you might want to ask your dad because he's probably a better saver than I will be, and he gets money. He understands it. And
Mm-hmm.
so he's like, I'm like, dude, like sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is just to put some type of money away. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what it is, just or how much it is. Just put something away. It's like, and at the end of the day, have a goal in mind. If you want to buy you a new pair of shoes, okay. You know, put the money aside that you would for like, getting junk food and put it towards getting some shoes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and really just be very conscious and cautious of what you spend your money on. He said, yeah, he said, I do like it. He said, he's like, I like to buy junk food and everything else. Like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I get it. If we're on the road, you're hungry, I get it. Getting a bag of chips here and there, got you. You getting, something to drink here and there, okay, I got it. But at the end of the day, you almost have to kind of imagine, okay, if I go to the store every day and I bought the same thing every day, am I really saving money or am I wasting money? And so he was like, okay. I was like, so if you go to the store buy the same thing every day, if you got $5 and you go to the store and you get the same thing every day, by the time you think about it, you done not only spent your $5, but you overspent than anything else. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yes. And so I told him exactly, man. So I told him like you have to be disciplined. Like a lot of times whenever I do save, it's normally, to pay for rent or it's paid for these bills or for whatever else. But other than that, if even if I did have after all the bills are paid for and everything else, and even if I had like an extra $100, $200, just because I would try to put away at least 10, $20 just because I don't know what's going to happen, just
Exactly.
because a rainy day may happen, and I try to build up upon it as much as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
even then, I was like being transparent with it too. As like, just understand like a lot of the things I would love to do and would like to do, I couldn't do just due to the fact that we were so behind on bills. And we were pretty much the money that I would love to save. We used that just to get caught up on bills. And so now that the bills are pretty much for the most part, they're caught up, I am basically planning on going back to saving. And even now, with the promotion I got, with the increase and how much I'm making, it's going to benefit not just me, but this whole household in the long run. So
Right.
yeah. And even then, like just to kind of circle back too, you know, I had a trading account that I still got like $30 in that I haven't even touched in like months. And it's just
Nice.
sitting there. It's just sitting there to the point where it's like, hey, I got $30. You know, let's get back on the saddle and let's try this bad boy again. And, like Madness said, be very, very disciplined because I've known what it's like to win big and I've known what it's like to lose big. So it does make a difference. It makes a huge difference. But and again, like I told him, like, you just got to start somewhere, and have the goal in mind of, okay, this is what I'm saving for, and if I want to get a new pair of shoes, then I can't, like, every time I get money, I can't just throw it away. But
Mm-hmm.
yet I want a new, especially if I want like Forces or Jordans, knowing that a pair of those they run about a good $120 a piece, easy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Some Jordans that you gonna pay like $200-300 for a pair of shoes. You know, especially Jordans. Yeah, easy, easy.
Mm-hmm.
They're just $200-300, and again, just thinking about that is like, yeah, if you want to save up for it, you're going to have to be disciplined and not necessarily spend all your money, but try to save as much of it as possible.
Yeah. I've been listening and also reading a lot of like financial book. I don't really call it like financial help.
Hmm.
I feel like one of the books I'm reading is just kind of just this person telling their life story. But what I like, it's like it's from the perspective of, from like women or like queer women and things like that, or queer people.
Hmm.
And so just because like it just kind of gives like a different perspective of certain things. But like one of the things that kind of keeps coming up is that money is, spending, especially like money and spending, is like tied to an emotion. It's kind of an emotional thing as well, because going out and buying junk food, it may not be necessarily the food. It might be like him hanging out with his friends, and he likes
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
friends, and they go into McDonald's and they, have some junk food. So it's like, okay, is it just you know, is it the food or is it the friends? It's probably more so like the friends. So spending money hanging out with friends isn't necessarily a bad thing, but he could possibly, like, instead of having like, a number two large, it could be like, maybe just get like a dollar fry if they still have a dollar. I haven't gone to McDonald's in years, but like if they have like a dollar fry or something, and like the drink, like something that's kind of small, then that could, it's kind of like in a way having your cake and eating it too, but like not realizing that you don't have to eat the entire cake. Like,
Right.
it's like that's bad. It's like, oh no, you can just have like a little slice of the cake, but what you actually want is the hanging out and the camaraderie of being around your friends.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sadly, the employers don't go. Yeah, true. What always
You
annoys me is like every February, like how is like mortgage, rent, internet, how's that all cost the same when I spent less days in this month? Like I should be compensated for something. But
Mhm.
they're just like, no, let's just round it up, 3 days. Like, right. but but yeah. Another thing I've been learning about from listening to, like these podcasts and, reading these books and everything is opening up a high yield savings account,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it was something I finally did it kind of as like my birthday gift. Like I finally opened up a high yield savings account. Also opened up a Roth IRA finally,
Mhm.
and something I wanted to do freaking years. But whatever, better late than never. Or
Right.
you know, better now than never too. Um, Start counting your calories, limit your junk food. Yeah, it's just when you're a kid, you're like 15, 16. You don't really need
Right.
you don't really need to count your head. But yeah, so like around the time for my birthday, I decided to open up both of those accounts because part of me was just fear, for sitting on it for so long. Because I'm like, I don't know. Part of me felt like kind of stupid. It's like I feel like I'm taking so long. I feel like I'm so old. Shouldn't I know these things by now? But like I don't really want to like go for help, even though I know that the people in my life would gladly help me because like my brother-in-law like works in like finances, so he knows all about that. But yeah, so I opened up a high yield savings account and it's been great. It's been fantastic. Like it acts kind of like both a checking and a savings account. Whereas like I have a debit card and I could withdraw money from like certain ATMs that they partnered with for free. I could technically get checks. And it has a 5% APY annual percent yield.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is really high, because like a normal bank, like a Wells Fargo, a Chase, a Bank of America, if you just like have a savings, coupled with your checking, that interest rate is like nothing. It's like I think you have to have like $1,000 or something in there for an entire month just to get like a penny or something. Like it is pathetic.
Yes, it is.
So a high yield is just like, because I don't even know what APY that is. It's like 0.01% or something sad and stupid. Oh,
It is.
sorry, I didn't read. Like I didn't read the rocket. One of my brothers was so bad at saving that he set up an automatic withdrawal from his paychecks into a high yield account that only I have access to so far. That's good. That's good. That is really good. I highly recommend that. Also, that's great that it's an automatic withdrawal because that's even better. Like I just set up my automatic withdrawal like a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. I can't remember. Recently. And I kind of like it because even though before I would habitually put money from my checking into my savings after my paycheck, that's something I've done for like just years habitually. But like I didn't really know anything about high yield savings accounts until like probably like a year ago or so, thanks to TikTok and the influencer or content creator your rich BFF, the Asian lady, name's like Vivian too, I think. But yeah, so she was like, they were saying like, yeah, open up a high yield savings account. I listened to also another financial chick. She calls herself a financial feminist, Tori Dunlap. She's always posting and talking about opening up a high yield savings account because it's like a very low risk thing to just gain some money on top of. I've taken I've taken Dave Ramsey's course back, I don't know, like 9-10 years, I don't know, when I was like 24 or something like that. And I took the whole thing at the church, and I don't remember him talking about a high yield savings account ever. And one of my good friends, like she's a reporter or director for like a financial like newspaper sort of thing, like financial like like they write articles for like banks and things like that. So she's really on top of the financial world. And so she's the one who recommended me like Tori Dunlap, Chelsea Fagan, like just like women financial people to kind of follow. But like growing up, she knew about Dave Ramsey, and she was like, like when I told her, I was like, I don't remember Dave Ramsey ever mentioning a high yield savings account because he spoke about like a Roth IRA and like I think long-term life insurance and having like a HSA, a health savings account, things like that. But I don't remember a high yield. I don't remember him mentioning that at all. And she was like, yeah, like my friend, she was like, yeah, I don't remember him mentioning that either. And I was like, and I've listened to I haven't listened thoroughly, so don't get me wrong, but like occasionally, like if I listen to like men in the financial realm, the financial spheres, they don't really talk about that either. And they tend to talk about something that's like high risk, high reward sort of deal. Like they're very much more so into that space, and it's like, it's like if you're just trying to like save money casually or just like try to get that momentum going of, like, okay, this is just something completely new to me. I'm like, and all that. I just never heard that personally. But then again, I haven't like listened thoroughly to like many men, so I could be totally wrong. Using a CFP that you can trust. CFP? Even if it's not long term, but just to create a 5-year, 10-year plan.
Is that certified financial planner, I'm guessing?
Oh, yeah. Trust even if it's not long term, but just to create a 5-year. It's a good idea. I don't know. I've always heard mixed things about a certified about like getting like a financial planner. So I don't know. I definitely wouldn't, cross that off my list of things I'll try. Like I would, I'll definitely think about it or look into it. Because sometimes like you could take one of like the financial guru's online courses and it just doesn't hit the same because it's like a live stream like this and they're just like talking about their life and then they kind of sometimes like answer some people's questions or you gotta like pay to like comment or something like that. And I'm like, no. So yeah, I will definitely look into it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to, and this will be my last point, definitely look into like different ways of making money. I think I mentioned to you all that like I found this gig on Craigslist to be a fake paparazzi. And yeah, it was like $100 an hour. It was only an hour, so I just got $100 and I know nothing about cameras. So but it was just kind of like invigorating. So like, oh my goodness, I just made money outside of my job. And I know that's like a thing you can do. like no shit, Sherlock. But it was just like, wow, I really did that. Like I was not really going to. I initially found the gig on Craigslist and I sent it to Gil because he's a photographer. And Gil was like, hey, do you want to do it? I'm like, okay. He was like, yeah, just borrow one of my cameras. I'm like, I know nothing about cameras. But yeah, no, it was great. Here's our actual CPs. They recommend more conservative wealth building options. Sadly, there's too many people in the finance guru space without creds. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I've been.
Critters were actually so many people in the finance. That's interesting.
Yeah. Because I've been enjoying like this financial like learning kick that I've been on because it is really interesting. Because like it's weird how like these things just aren't obvious, but like so it feels like a risk because like like the high yield savings like banks like SoFi or I think it's Ally Marcus.
Ally?
Yeah, the purple one.
Oh.
Yeah. Like there's like Betterment, Wealthfront, VO, Bankrate. Like there's like so many.
I have Varo. I've had that since 2019. I'm a fan.
Okay, I've heard of Varo. I was almost gonna sign up with them.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't seem to know them as much as Ally, but 5% interest, which they've had high interest for a while, like 2.8 years ago, 5% for a while. As long as you direct deposit and keep a positive balance, pretty easy money, easy to transfer back and forth, saving the check in, but they don't have checks, and you have to like their Zelle limit is small, and they thankfully have Zelle. They didn't used to have Zelle years ago. So it was a little bit like you had to kind of jerry rig a few things, but they've been getting a lot better. So big fan.
Okay, nice. I use Wealthfront.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. If I knew about like high yield savings accounts, but like another thing too that I've been learning is that it's like more common for men to talk about money among men, and like it's sort of like because like among like my women friends, like I'm not trying to use myself as like a example really, but like it is, I don't know, like I guess like men are always just like seen as like, yeah, of course, like the breadwinners, but it's also just like, I don't know, like naturally money minded when that's not necessarily the case. Because like prior to like, Dave Ramsey, when I was like, I don't know, 24 or whatever, I remember when I was like a kid, my dad was like would talk to me about money like a little bit because I'd ask him for $1 every day, and I was always just good at saving, but I didn't know like how to. And when I got like my first job at Wendy's or whatever, like I was always good at saving, but I didn't really know how to like save correctly. It was just like, oh, you have your checking and your savings account. So I'm like, okay, you just put the money in the savings account, but I didn't know that there was just like an easier, faster way to save, because it was like, oh man, I would have like had a high yield savings account, or like if I knew that. But yeah, like I don't know why we just don't. I know like we're not really supposed to. It's, I guess, uncouth to talk about our salaries when like you probably should, so you know that like you're not being underpaid, or to at least know
Right.
or at least to know like, oh, I can be paid more in this field, or like to also just learn about different fields that aren't tech or something. It's like, oh, you can make like 120K working for a tech company but not knowing anything about tech. You have to be like a product manager or something. I don't know. But every savings account options and other benefits that can be very valuable. I expanded myself to include accounts I wanted. It's helped more than I expected. That's awesome. Yeah, I know credit unions are great. I definitely would like to like sign up for a credit union because I've just heard just so many amazing things about credit unions. I know that like when it comes to like buying a home, it's like it's something, I forgot what it is, but it's something like better about banking with a credit union than like a traditional bank. I can't quite remember. But like I think buying a car is better with a credit union. Savings better with a credit union.
Yeah, I was able to get my car through my credit union, my car loan, which would not have gone anywhere near this rate when I bought. I got approved for the loan, I think August last year, so things were pretty high with interest rates at that time.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Rocky brought up that like men tie more of their identity to money, so I guess they do technically. That is technically that might just be why. Another reason why. Yeah, I guess it's like there's definitely more incentive. I mean, I don't know. I want to say there's more. I mean, I don't know. Like I feel like there might be a little bit more of an incentive for men to be really out here looking for money. Hey, That's true. Credit unions definitely do tend to offer lower interest rates. You're right.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Maybe Federal has been good to me and the fam.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's yeah. I was gonna say too. Also circling back, I know with credit unions, you tend to get in-house financing, meaning that a lot of times you can get approved faster and quicker with lower terms, lower interest rate. Just simply due to the fact that you are a member at that credit union, and
Mm-hmm.
even like some, not not your major banks, but even some of your smaller banks, they have like their own in-house financing that as long as you're a member with them for X amount of time, that they can give you like special interest rates and things of that nature too as well. Versus if you were to bank at like a Wells Fargo or a U.S. Bank or Bank of America, where it's like they're a little bit bigger, where you won't necessarily get it qualified for. Which is the cool thing why um, with the bank that me and the Mrs. Bank with here in Michigan, they're big enough to be featured in Forbes 500 as
Mm,
far as top banks to bank with, and I think they placed like top 20 in the nation, which is
okay.
like really, which is really stinking good. But also at the same time, they're small enough to the point where they don't bite off more than what they can chew, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And so um, we were talking with our banker, and she was like, "Listen, she's like, whenever you guys are ready to go ahead and get that process of either one buying a home, two buying land, whatever the case may be." She was like, make sure you um, get everything together because we can actually help you with a lot of that. And even if you go somewhere else who can possibly give you a better deal, that's fine. Because what we can do is turn around and match it. Like seriously. Like, oh yeah, like you guys been with us for like forever, so it's like why not?
Mm.
And we can help you get that process going. Like, but pretty much just make sure you have all your ducks in a row, and we'll go from there. Like, cool. Mind you, this was before I got the promotion and the increase in my salary, so this was way before that. But they were just saying like it's possible. And a lot of times with your smaller regional banks, they do treat you a lot better than your bigger national banks. But then again, at the same time, not all smaller regional banks are created equal. Some are just pretty much just bad, 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 bad. Hey, good to have you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is great. Yeah, because like we definitely do need to future proof ourselves as
Yes.
as best as we can. Also, I did want to mention with the high yield savings account, for a lot of them, you don't need any money to start. So you could just open it and you can even just put
Hmm.
like, $5 in there to, if you want to, you don't have to, but just to kind of start, get it rolling. Because
Yes.
sometimes, at least, sometimes you just kind of need like that, I guess, boost of confidence or just that rhythm, like to kind of start
Hmm.
doing that. I know that that's how I work. And with Dave Ramsey's with the 6 baby steps, one thing that he does that's I don't like. I see what he's saying, and like it's a good point, but like like I both agree and disagree, and I'll get to his in relation with the financial institute is a game changer because they may go that extra mile. It's all about finding someone you click with. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Right. One of the things about Dave Ramsey's 6 Baby Steps, I want to say it's like baby step number 2, and I think it's like paying off the credit cards. The first one is saving up $1,000. It's kind of like your emergency fund, but I mean, I would say nowadays an emergency fund should be like 3 to 6 months of expenses, or maybe at least just like 1 month if that's all you can save. Because like $1,000 is good, but like I don't know. Like my boyfriend's clutch, like got messed up. Like he had to get a new clutch, so his clutch cost $1,300, like the whole thing. So, hey Mish.
Mish.
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. But with baby step number 2, which I believe is paying off credit cards, he wants you to start with like the amount, not so much the interest rate. So let's say you have, I don't know, like 3 credit cards. One has a balance of like 500, another with a balance of 1,000, the other with a balance of 2,000. He would want you to try to pay off the one that's $500 first, and then use that money that was going towards the $500 one to help pay it off, to put it towards the $1,000 one, and keep going, kind of do like that snowball effect. Because now you have like a little bit more money because you no longer have to pay the $500 on that credit card. Some people would argue that you should pay off whatever has the highest interest rate first, because like if whatever is accruing and it's like, if you have like a 2% interest rate on something, like if let's say the $2,000 one had a 2% interest rate, is 7 steps? I could have sworn it was 6 steps. Oh, whatever. The 2% one isn't really going to go up that much. So compared to like, let's say the $500 credit card one had like an interest rate of like 20%. Like that's going to, that's going to compound very, like a lot very quickly. So, maybe trying to pay off the $2,000 one, you might be able to actually pay that off quicker than like, well, actually, no, you have to pay off the higher interest rate one. So, like, let's say, if you pay off the higher interest rate one first, so that doesn't, like, come back to bite you, sort of thing. Because, like, next thing you know, the $500 one is more than the $2,000 one. And, like, that could be very quickly, very quick, very easily. So, like, I personally believe like paying off, I see it either way, like because you can't get upset with the confidence of paying off a credit card or like a debt or a bill like that can feel. So like stuff like that definitely gives you momentum. Opening up a high yield savings account gives you momentum. Putting $5 towards a stock in Robinhood helps you get momentum. Like, especially if you see, whether you see the money go up or down, as long as you see some kind of change and know that you are capable of doing that, will give you some kind of momentum. But regardless, like, you have to start. I don't believe that there is a right time to start. You should just start. If you open up, a high yield savings account, don't put anything in there. At least it's open. So by the time you can put $1 in there, you can put $1 in there. It's already open. You just go for it and just throw in that $1. You feel like it's nothing, but next thing you know, the $1 might come up to be like $1.50, and then it's like, oh, I don't know what you could use $1.50 for, but Y'all know your life better than I do. So
Listen, listen. You know, when you were talking about high yield savings account, I had to log into my Capital One savings account that I have, and uh, the interest rate that I got is like 4.3 APY,
nice.
which is which to me is way better than anywhere else we get. But also at the same time, they gave me a snapshot that were saying like, for this year, um, I just off of the interest made like $1.32 off of interest. I'm like, what?
That's a lot.
So it is. It is. And even then, thinking about like from the summer of this year up until now, like like I was saying before, you guys, like a lot of it was more so just trying to get caught up on bills. And now that we're at a space where pretty, like I said before, a lot of it is pretty much caught up. So now I'm like, okay, I know that with what I got going on here, I got paid $1.32 just from this year alone. I was like, you know what? I want to try and double it, if not triple it, the same time next year, and pretty much go from there. And so I was talking to my landlord, and they're both like very good with money, very good. And so I told him like, yeah, I got a credit card, but I told him like I got three credit cards, but the one that I have, I really don't want because of the fact like the interest rate on there is stupid high, and it gives me no benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, really? I'm like, yeah, like my other two is like I get cash back on everything that I buy. And the interest rate, they're they're not as high as the one on my other credit card. And even still then the other two is like I really enjoy. And so she was like, well, she was like, I'll tell you what, she said, I believe you with this, but you can do whatever you want to do. She said, you know, contrary to popular belief, contrary to popular belief. She was like, if you do close out the one credit card, if you pay off the balance, you close it out, she said it may impact you in a negative way than what you actually think. And I'm kind of looking at her like, well, what do you mean? She said, well, she said, let's just say that you got a let's say that you have a credit limit of like $400, right? Right. And then all your other ones is anywhere between like five to about 1,500. Okay. If you close out that one for 400, even though you probably had it for about a year or even less than a year, she was like, it could bite you in the butt because of the fact that it's something that's open, it's something that's revolving. She said that's the one thing that's actually going to help boost up your credit score a lot more. And even if you just say like you want to just use it just for like, paying for gas and that's simply it, then that's all you use it for. And as long as you pay it back, okay, cool, great. But if you close it out, rather than you see your credit score go up, you might see it go down. And it may go down a lot more than what you think. And so I'm like, yeah, I hear you. Like, I understand where you're coming from because, yeah, like, but at the same time, it's like, it gives me no benefit. I see no benefit other than it being open in a revolving account. Like, I get that. Like, I totally get that. But as far as perks go, as far as cash back goes, as far as all the other stuff goes, like, it's nothing to me. Like, I see no point. And she's like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. She said, because at least you're looking at it from a value standpoint, which I guess she's like, I'm not going to say that you're wrong. You're not at all. However, understand that if you want to, you know, buy a house, buy a car, buy whatever, and they want to look at your credit score, they want to look at your credit report. Mind you, you may not have a whole lot on there, but those that actually looks very good on you, you might want to keep that in consideration. I'm like, yeah, like I get it. Like, trust me, I do. And so even still now, like as I'm looking and talking to everything else, I'm like, man, I'm thinking I've paid more into this thing than anything else, and probably going against her wishes. But you know what? Whatever. I'll probably end up paying on it and just closing that one out because, like I said, it doesn't give me anything. It doesn't say, oh, keep me, keep me, keep me. Well, my other two, they're like, yeah, you should keep us because at least we're doing something for you. You know, like you're getting cash back on literally everything that you buy, from groceries to entertainment to gas to bills to cell phones, like you name it, you're gonna get some type of cash back on there. I'm like, yeah, that's rewarding. Like that keeps me going. So I know next year, probably by February of next year, the one I'm just gonna close. I'm gonna pay off the balance and whatever I have attached to it, wiping it clean. I'm like, yeah, now I'm straight. Get rid of it. The other two, I'm gonna keep my other two. I'm going to keep my other two and just rock out with those ones and be disciplined and not just go buku crazy on them, but be disciplined in enough of when to use it and when not to use
Right. Because, like a credit card, I heard it like compared to like a knife. It's like, yeah, it can hurt you, but it can also chop up food and veggies for you and be used as like, credit card is just essentially a tool.
it. Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
Oh no, I
Oh,
tried. Like the one that I have, I got that one because it was off of a whim, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna get it, and I messed around and got it, but they don't have a reward card, not at all. The other two that I do have, it was standard. They were both reward cards standard, and I'm like, that's how credit cards should always be. Like, come standard with some kind of rewards or kind of perks. And again, like the other one, it's just there. The way I look at it, like it's really there to collect dust. That's all I look at it. It's just there to collect, and that's really it.
yeah. So which one was the one that you said that you couldn't convert to?
Uh,
Um.
it's the it's the credit card that doesn't have any perks.
Which bank, or like, or is it just like a local like?
It's not even local. It was one. Honestly, it was one of those like credit card companies where they're saying, "Hey, boys, I know
Like
it's
it
one
kind
of
of
those."
helped to improve credit score.
Not necessarily even help my credit score. It was just one that says, hey, you got pre-approved for like a credit
Mm,
limit of $2. Get it back. I'm like, I really don't want to because I don't need another credit card. But you know what? What the heck? I'll just apply for it and give it a shot. And long and behold, I got it. I'm like, okay,
okay.
crap. Now my other two, I got through Capital One. Not gonna lie, I got two through Capital One, and the one I got is the Quicksilver card. I got that one, and then the other one is the Saver from Capital One.
Mm.
And so those two alone, Um, I know with the Quicksilver, I get 1% cash back on everything. With my Saver, however, it's tiered. So if I'm buying groceries, like 2 to 3, I get 2 to 3% cash back. If I'm buying gas, I get I think anywhere between 2 to 3 or 2 to 4% cash back. And then on everything else, it's 1%. But I'm also wanted to say, with the bills in the with like if I'm paying it, if I'm using it to pay for like my cell phone bill, internet bill, or something else, I think it's anywhere between 1 to 2% cash back as well. And so that was the only reason why I got that one. I'm like, you know what? It makes a whole lot of sense. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, with those two alone, I get more bang for my buck than my Rick and Medink one. Just and again, that's just putting that out there, being pretty much transparent.
Okay. Like I've been, toying with the idea of getting another credit card because I literally only have one,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just what I got like straight out of college, like just like a little like rinky dink Discover card, and
Oh yeah.
and like it doesn't really do much. I could probably see if there's like a rewards card that I could just turn it into, like on like what Sassy
Mm-hmm.
suggested. It's not a bad idea, but I'm like, okay, if I were to get a credit card, like what would I like another one, like what would I use it for? But what
Mm-hmm.
Rocky suggested about like using it to pay bills, like I do see the perk in that as well, because especially if you do get cash back for like anything, and it's like you're
Mm-hmm.
paying off your bills like at like a discount if you want to see it like,
Yeah.
that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I might 0% APR for 12 and 24 months. That's good. So
Mhm.
you get 0% APR for a year, Toby, or is it 2 years?
Yeah, so if you buy, it's like you have to buy 200. Is it 299? I don't know if it's 299 or if it's 279. Basically, close to $300. You'll get 12 months of intro APR on that. Anything that's above like 599, you get 18 months. Anything above, I think 699 or 799 ends up being, I think 799 is 24 months. So you could
Mhm.
basically like buy $1,000. And I basically actually did this because I was toying around with some stuff. I was like, you know what? I wanted to upgrade some things, including getting a MacBook. Um, and so Best Buy also had just other deals.
Mm-hmm.
So I've become very partial to them actually like pretty lately. The computer I'm streaming from, I actually got as the reason I got this credit card was when I wanted to buy this computer from Best Buy in 2020. Because recall I was using my work computer at the beginning of our streaming history until I bought this computer, personal one, October, and like, hey, you can get this credit card. So I applied because my credit score was like really good at the time. So I applied, and basically they just put the balance, which was like I don't know, probably like with taxes and everything, it was probably a little over 900. I just remember like I only had to pay $50 a month. Basically, though, if you don't pay it all off within the intro APR, you end up having to owe everything as if you never paid any of the
Really?
payments, which is a little scary. So you have to really make sure that you don't miss a month, or like you have to really make sure that you time it correctly, pay it off at least a month early or something, just so that you don't even come
Right.
close. Because if you have even $1 left of a balance, they're going to be like, "Oh, here's all the interest for 18 months." For me, it was 18 months because I think the balance was 800 something before tax, probably a little over 900. So I ended up being qualified for the 18-month APR. So I paid that off 18 months, which ended up being like April of 2022. um and then I really wasn't using it for large purchases. But when I did a down payment on my car, I used that credit card because I was like, let me try to bring down the total cost of the car. So I probably paid like, I think I used a few cards, but I ended up paying probably like 1,000 or 1,500 with the credit card. And I was like, man, I'm gonna have to eat this cost. But then I found out they actually gave an intro APR for that. I don't know if it's because I bought it my car around this time and it's like the holiday season, or if it's just in general they do that for large purchases. But I ended up having an intro APR, but it wasn't 18 months or 12 months. It was like maybe 6 because it was due in May. So like I basically that like $1,000 of that purchase or 1,500 out of the 2,000 or however much ended up just basically being free interest until May of this year. So that was really dope. But in terms of Best Buy actual purchases, they give you like, as long as it's like close to $300, you'll get 12 months. So I bought a bunch of stuff, including I haven't opened it up yet because I didn't really have time. I was home with my family the last week, like basically since the week of Thanksgiving, and I just came back to my own apartment on Saturday night, really a Sunday morning. So I haven't had time. Like this stuff actually shipped. Well, this actually shipped after I got back, but I had other stuff from Amazon that shipped. This one though, oh, this wasn't Amazon. This was Best Buy, but this was the MacBook Air. So eventually,
nice.
I will get to open it up and play around with this bad boy.
Yes.
And then because it was $750 instead of it would have been like over 1,000. I mean, it was like, it's not a lot of gigs. It's only 256 storage. But I think even this computer I'm on is 256 storage, and it's been fine.
Yeah, you'd be surprised by like how far you can go with like a lot. Because like I feel like we all think that we just need so many gigs, but like you only really need a bunch of gigabytes if you're like if you do like film and photography. Like I haven't. Yeah, or I guess if you do like a lot of like, I don't know, like networking, like server stuff, like on your device, but like, someone who's like in like networking IT would just buy like their own little mini server or something. Like they wouldn't have it like on their computer. They will practice on their computer and then they realize that it's like, oh, I'm gonna need more space. But I feel like they'd come to that conclusion prior to that. Like, I don't really see how we can even get to, to really fill up that space, because once we realize we're becoming whatever person that takes up that much space, whether it's like, photographer or like YouTuber, videographer, like making like 4K videos, trying to be like the next MKBHD or something, then you're more than likely just going to have like external hard drives and things like that. So I think you're more than fine, Toby.
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm not saving, like I'm not doing anything with videos. I'm not saving like I think,
or even like gaming, but like maybe games, because games are a couple of gigs, but you don't really do that on a Mac.
You keep downloading the new games, right? So, and like upgrading and stuff to like, so that if you really are doing that, that's a lot. But for me, I'm not really using a lot of desktop applications. Like I save mostly files. Even in school, I mean, I was mostly saving just like regular Word documents. There was only like certain programming, maybe like certain libraries and repositories. But even that, I'm not sure. I don't even remember what took up the most space, but I feel like it was images. I think what it was I had some images that I did from like there was some summer research project, and I was able to like keep it on my was it Dropbox, or at that point maybe just directly to my OneDrive. So I had a lot of stuff that I was like porting over because it was like a lot of image stuff. It was actually photogrammetry and like 3D model reconstruction stuff. So I was saving a lot of those meshes and the point cloud data and whatever on my drive. And so I think that ended up contributing a lot of space. But like this computer, when I was doing some like updates yesterday, I was like, wait a second, I only have 200. Like I said, I have 85 gigabytes free. So like I've used 133, and then it says 219 is like the total for the C drive. And I was like, wait a second, this is only 256 gigabytes, and it's solid state drive, which of course is like a must now. I think my old computer I had a computer that was like close to a terabyte, but what it was, I think it was mixed. So you only had a little bit of solid state, and then the rest was just HDD, which I'm fine with. But honestly, like if I can get away with just 100% solid state, and I don't need the storage, like a lot of people said 256 is enough. 8 gigs might be the problem. I only have 8 gigs of RAM on that. I'm gonna, because apparently with Macs you have like a thing that shows you like your memory management and like the color green, yellow, red, and all. You can see the paging and virtualization stuff. So a lot of people say that if you have too many tabs open, which yikes, I'm in danger, that could be a problem. So that could definitely be an issue for me. But I am gonna check, because I think for me it's a good investment. It's $750. There were other things I bought, admittedly, like there's I went a little crazy, but I think some of these things I'm gonna return. I have a while to return them, like probably like, let's call it 60 days. So around the end of January,
or because like holidays,
I can return them, which is nice. And that's with any card, like that's just Best Buy's return policy. So even if I use the regular credit card that I had to pay off, I could still get the money back if I returned it in time. But I was able to like get a few other items, including I feel like I can't find it here. This case might be, I don't know if this is my MacBook or if this is, because I also had messed around and got an iPad. I did a lot because I was like, you know what, I can get these on the card, and if I don't really need it, I can return it. Like I got this iPhone 14. I actually got a 13 and returned it. That was directly with Apple though. So I bought something through Apple and returned it with their extended warrant. They basically, you can return things through mid-January. But I'm like, I don't want to buy things directly through Apple because I don't have Apple Pay. I don't have an Apple card. I might as well use Best Buy because Best Buy, I have all these crazy perks. I don't have to pay any interest for. I mean, the phone was like in itself was 500 something, 600 plus with the tax. So that was already 18 months. So this iPhone 14, I probably don't want to keep it. I'm most likely going to return it, but I do need to figure out another iPhone because I've been so used to having an iPhone and I don't have one anymore. So I'm trying to figure out how I can keep plugged into that, which is partly why I was also inspired to get the Mac. Well, I already wanted to get a Mac for a little bit, partly for eCams, partly just to have a better programming environment for personal use. And so it's just like cool. Like there's this MacBook case. So you have to be careful because you don't want to like get wrecked. Kind of like what Rocky was implying with, if you don't have the ice or the cojones, you could kind of mess around. And I actually thought I responded to this one. But what Rocky said was like, I was saying how I have screwed myself over with certain cards with other banks. For like the rewards, but then I paid way too much interest. And so that's what the banks want you to do. So I think with Best Buy, I at least have a better chance of not messing up because I can return a lot of these items for the holidays. And I also have like a good 2 years to pay off some of the interest. So there's a much better chance that I can actually outsmart them versus the other banks, which 100% will outsmart you. Unless you just auto pay bills, because bills you have to pay anyway. But I definitely used like my credit card and then Klarna. Klarna was the most popular for Ticketmaster, but I have a little bit used Afterpay. But I became very good friends with Klarna and Ticketmaster, and a lot of stuff going to concerts, and I think just a lot of other things that drove up costs. Even before that, I feel like not paying off the card as I needed to. For Bank of America, and it was like a 3% reward where you can choose a category. So I said, let's do online purchases, which is ambiguous, but it works for like online shopping. I think it works for things like Eventbrite and Ticketmaster. It's so broad that you can basically just buy anything that's not like insurance payments, that's not medical bills, that's not utility bills, anything that's like a consumer good, which I think includes entertainment. You can get 3%, or you can choose transportation, you can choose gas, you can choose anything, but you can only change it like once a quarter. But I was like, I'm going to buy all the stuff with Bank of America and get all this cash back, but they're like raking me over the coals with interest that I'm not paying. PNC is a bit better. Their interest rate's lower, and they have 4% for gas, which is really good. Then 3% cash back for any food, so dining out, fast food, 2% for groceries, and then 1% for anything else. And all these cards have 1% for the base level for anything that's not a special category. and Discover, which was my kind of first card L. So I got that in college. Don't know why they gave me a limit of like $1,500 as like a senior in college. No idea what they were thinking, but that was the credit limit that I got, which helped me just build credit because I had money from like summer internships and stuff. So I was able to use my credit card, and they gave a 1-year intro APR for 0%. So that was cool. I graduated, went to grad school, and while I didn't have a regular income, I was able to still spend money on the credit card for things that I needed legitimately, and I was able to pay it off. Eventually, the credit limit went way up, and then turns out they introduced a second category for 2% on like gas and food, which is nowhere near as good as PNC, but like, you know, it was something. But I didn't even know about that till many years later. Because that was 2016 when I got that card, and I didn't even know about the 2% category until like maybe 2 years ago. So PNC has been like probably like my main card for a lot of things. Because that was the second card I got. Like I had Discover for some years, and then I got PNC because I actually have the bank. So I'm like, let me use PNC since I have a bank account with them. That was 2018 January. So it is good to get a credit card that's with a bank you have. I mean, I'm kind of crazy because I do have 4 credit cards. Discover got closed, but that's because apparently there was a dumb verification thing that Equifax needed me to do, and I got a call from them, but I didn't get like an actual written letter or email. So what happened? I think they called me, and I missed the call. I called back. I was like, what's this number? It's an 800 number. They explained what this was. I e-signed something in my email, but I missed all the other instructions. Life was busy. By the time end of March came around and I called them back, I actually was a day late. It was a day late. And so they were like, yeah, you missed the deadline. It was yesterday. So we're going to close your account. And I was like, what? Excuse me? I was like, you guys are not serious. So Discover just like, and that's my oldest account. So I was like, how are y'all going to do that? I think it's because I hadn't filed my taxes properly in some time. And so maybe they couldn't verify my income. But no other bank did that. Just Discover. But maybe it's also because I actually have. Oh, then you know what? I think I understand. I have bank accounts with Bank of America and PNC, so they can see my direct deposit, which I split between those banks, and they probably just had access to other stuff. Well, Discover, I don't have the bank; I only have the credit card, so maybe they couldn't really verify my income the way that my actual banks could. But I don't know. I still don't really understand. But unfortunately, that closed my account in March. So now I technically only have 3 active credit cards. Though Discover, I still have the balance that I'm like working to pay off, along with like other credit cards and stuff that got maxed out around the time of my car rental struggles. So that's been like a forever journey of like paying down all the debt from various cards. And Discover used to be a card I barely put anything on. I used to always just pay that one off, but I had to like rack it up around my car rental struggles and other moving struggles. But you know, it's generally not advised, of course, to max things out like that. And usually I don't. I usually keep everything really low, pay things off, and keep it moving. But there was a lot of stuff that was going on last year. And I also made some questionable investments that I didn't put my cash towards, like the credit cards I should have been paying off. Thankfully, some of those investments have finally panned out, but I would be very careful when gambling your life away with certain cryptocurrencies that, you know, are not always the most stable thing. So, you know, I'm glad that like people mentioned that savings is important, the emergency fund, which I really admittedly was not doing. And so now I'm like trying to figure out how to build that up. And then there's like other things that are super important. The high interest yield account I've had since 2019. So that's been like a priority, but I don't save into it. What I've been doing recently in the last like year or so is I'll put my money into my savings account, and then I use my savings account as and it makes it easy because I can put money into my savings account and then I'll pay a bill from it. So I'm not like accumulating a ton of money that I should be like saving, but it's easier to track what comes out of my account, because if it just comes out of your checking, you can just get hit. But I'm very intentional that I put money into my savings. I can see the trail of what I put in my savings. It's an instant transfer in the app with Varo. And then I withdraw money from my savings account using like the AC, you know, the routing number and account number. And so I still get a bit of a benefit of keeping so much cash in my savings. And then as bills hit, like my credit, like my what do you call it, like my car loan and other stuff, it'll reduce my savings balance, but then I still kind of get to have a high balance to get some interest, which is nice. Like I think this year or this month, December, I may have earned like $7 in some sense, which is not normal for an interest account like this. And so like it's not a ton of money, but it's better than like pennies or whatever that you wouldn't have earned. Sometimes it's as low as $2 in some sense. I've seen as high as $11 if I really put a ton of money, which is not a ton, but it's decent. And so I've been trying to game the way I use my savings accounts to actually like one, keep better track of my spending so I don't overdraft or like misappropriate money, but then also get the interest that I can get. And then I'm going to actually work on seriously having a, what do you call it? An emergency fund. I might use a different savings account for that. But yes, if you have to have credit cards, do it through your bank. You'll probably get better benefits, better interest. Maybe Bank of America's interest rate is pretty bad, but my PNC one is good. It's also much easier to pay off my credit cards because it posts instantly. Usually you have to wait like some business days to see the credit, on your credit card. But with PNC and Bank of America, if you transfer money, like is an internal transfer, it's automatic. So you'll immediately get the credit usable, even if the payment doesn't post yet, even if it's like after business hours. So that's been really useful for when I'm like tight with my credit cards and I just need to like pay stuff off. And it's a work in progress, but I definitely think like credit cards, if you use them correctly, can be like the, sword that helps instead of hurting you.
Yeah.
And so for the returns deadline, oh, Rocky, I see what you're saying. The returns for the store items. Yeah. For sure. I'm trying to be better. The other thing I will say that I actually have been doing alarms for is, what do you call those things? Subscriptions. So I used to be really bad at like subscriptions, like especially news articles. Like, oh, I have to read this news article. Let me get a subscription. It's going to be like free for some months. And then, or it's like $1 a month for like a year. Next thing you go, you get hit with like $40 or $50 or $20, some ridiculous thing. So I've been trying to get better at canceling subscriptions, whether news, whether streaming, like Paramount Plus, and they'll oftentimes when I cancel, they'll extend it. So then I'll extend it. Boston Globe is the worst. Like it'll be like $1 for 6 months, which is pretty great. But then you get hit with like, I don't know, maybe it's like 20 or something or 30 something, but it's still annoying. It's like, no, I didn't want to get hit with this. And so you forget because it's $1 over 6 months. The ones that are like $1 promotional for every month, you at least kind of remember. And if you do it through Google Play will show you the whole timeline, which I love. That's what Wall Street Journal did. It was like $6 a month for Wall Street Journal, Market Watch, and Barron's. And so I canceled it because I think it was supposed to like renew like June of this year or May. So I canceled it before it hit me with like a $50 charge. But if it's just like a random one and then you have to call them for customer service, I hate those. So I've been trying to get better at deducing, like, is it worth even signing up for this like trial if it's going to be a pain and I have to call them or I have to submit a whole customer service request. But I have been a lot better. I don't have as many outstanding trials. I did go a little crazy during Black Friday because Cyber Monday. So now I have like streaming with like Hulu, which I never really had, which then also included Disney Plus for like, because Hulu was like $1 a month, 99 cents. Disney Plus, they added like $1.99. So it's basically like $3 a month. Then I also put on like, I think HBO Max had something for like 6 months where it was like a ridiculously cheap amount. I think Stars might have been a thing. No, I think I did HBO Max. Peacock, which I used to have with Xfinity, they gave me an intro offer. So I'm gonna like try to actually take advantage of these and make sure I cancel them all because I really have been better at like cutting out all those things that I don't need, or at least keeping track of the promo ones. But I did start to try to use like calendar reminders using my Amazon device, which has also been useful for actual Amazon. There are certain subscriptions I have where you get slightly cheaper price if you do a subscribe and save order. Some of them I actually do need, but I realized there's a lot of things I don't actually need as much. Like there were certain things where I didn't actually need so much tea, like ginger lemon tea, and I have way too much, or even toilet paper. I actually have been able to get those things in the house. Boxes of tissues I've been able to get. So I've been trying to make sure that I extend the word. I've tried to like I would have to go to make sure I modify my Amazon order to push it out. And I actually have to keep pushing it because apparently I just have so much tea or other stuff that I haven't needed to get new stuff. Or like there's a point I got super cheap baby wipes and like I don't really need all these. So I like canceled some of those orders. So reminders will save lives for sure to do it like sometimes, and you do legitimately sometimes need to do it a week because there are some where they'll charge you before the end of the period, even though technically the renewal won't be like a week later. They'll charge you a few days before, which I'm like, wow, you guys kind of suck because if you're not careful, you'll get charged even a few days if you try to cancel a few days in advance. So, you know, it's all about like don't let these companies fool you. You know, nothing is free even if you think it is, or at least rarely anything is free. So it's also like watching the impulsivity of like you're gonna forget certain things. I just recently last week, started labeling things in my inbox, and I haven't used Gmail labels in forever. You can't even do it on your phone. You have to like create a new label on your computer or the desktop website on your phone, which is what I did. So I've been putting a subscription label so I can easily like search for subscriptions in my email for like new websites. What do you call them? Like news trials or streaming. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to be better at like knowing what's coming in and out and doing without what I don't need. I'm just trying to move forward in a way that's a bit smarter.
Right.
So I dropped the mic now.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Because I've been messed around with some stuff and actually, yeah, yeah, just been souping around and getting my financial life together as as close and as good as I possibly can because why not? But also at the same time, um, taking a look at a lot of my credit cards and well, just the main two, just the main two, and and pretty much just preparing myself to go ahead and just get the balances paid down a lot and really just go from there, because why not? Again, like I said, why not?
Mhm.
That's my thing. That's my pretty much my goal is to go ahead and get my balances down, paid off. Like I was saying before, the one credit card that I got was like, yeah, I'm getting rid of that one. Don't need it.
Mm.
I rather the other two and pretty much go from there. So that's where I am at. And yeah, and even then, like I messed around and did a automatic cashback redeem threshold or redeem threshold on both of my credit cards. So when I hit a certain limit with those cashback rewards, it's going to just redeem itself. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that much. I'm definitely going to do it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm gonna leave it alone. And then what I'm going to train myself to do is not touch it until it hits that threshold. And once it does, just continue to keep going. Or if I feel froggy enough to increase it and see where it goes from there. You know? And I might end up probably after the stream, I'll probably end up doing something with savings account and set up a rule with that one. And excuse me. And pretty much go there and pretty much go from there. If they have a rule where the one that I had when I was working in a bank out in Colorado Springs, they had a program called Saving Sense, and basically what it did was every time you use your debit card, it would round up your purchase to the nearest dollar. The change that it rounded up to, that got deposited into your savings account. And so the idea was, as long as you didn't touch your savings account and everything else, your savings account was going to grow based upon the amount of cents that got rolled over, which was like a game changer. I'm like, awesome. So I want to see if Capital One has that, and if it does, I am going to utilize it and all that other good stuff. So, yep, I got some goals. I got some things I want to do. So,
Yeah, rounding up is good. The save the change or whatever. I know Bank of America was the one I first saw doing that. Where yeah, every purchase would just go to your savings. PNC probably had something similar. I was doing that with Acorns. So any debit card I had connected with Acorns, I was able to get that amount sort of put away. I mean, I basically stopped using Acorns seriously for some years, but that was my main investment, was when I would pay off like the advice that I got was actually, this was like 2017. I was at a computing conference, like a Black and computing conference. And I was like, this is why I love like smart professionals. It's not just tech. Like they'll tell you life stuff. He was like, when you have a credit card bill, which I couldn't relate to at the time because I only had the one credit card, which basically had no APR at the time. But he was like, when you have credit cards and you pay it off or you pay something big off, he was like, him and his fiance, they paid something off and they were putting the money they were paying toward the bill and put it into a savings account. So what I did, my rent at the time for grad student housing was like $825, which everyone said that that's way too much. It's super expensive. But this was like a fully furnished apartment. You had your own bathroom. It had like it was a big complex with like not a swimming pool, but like a pool table and like other stuff in the area. So you got a lot of stuff for like 800. And I only had 2 roommates. If you were, I think you couldn't live in a single, but if you were living in a 2-bedroom, it was like 875. 4 bedrooms were like 750. So regardless, you're paying around $800 in this nice apartment. But a lot of grad students were like, no, you shouldn't live there. You need to find off-campus housing. So what I did was I took the difference between the 825 and my rent the next year was 333. So that's like almost $400 or almost $500. So I took that like 400 something and I put that into Acorns every month. So I basically was like acting as if I still had to pay the same amount of rent. I did have to scale back though because I was getting a smaller paycheck on my second year. So I was like, okay, I should adjust this a little bit. But I basically was putting all the money just into my Acorns account, and that thing just grew and blew up. And then I started investing in Robinhood because that was like maybe March of 2017 when I was using Acorns. Then like August of that same year, I got crazy into Robinhood. Just started investing like mad. Not a lot of any given stock, but I would just go boom, 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 boom. I wasn't doing it so much with actual budgeting in mind. It's not smart, but if you can like calculate how much you are no longer paying towards a debt, you can then put that money into investments or savings or whatever is going to sort of like yield you something. So that was just my little thing from the saving, the rounding up the change. Like there's a lot of ways to take advantage of spending, whether you're rounding up or you're just putting the difference between a bill into like a new savings account if you can afford to do it.
Right. Yeah. I remember there was one thing that y'all were talking about when it comes to, like taking advantage of deals and things like that. And usually like those deals, especially when it's like subscription based, they usually give you a really good deal for about a year or so. And, definitely put that in your calendar. I would say do it like a week or a couple of days before it's actually due, depending on the thing. Like when I had purchased like these UE boom speakers, I was able to get 4 months of Sirius XM radio for free, and I signed up, tried it out, hated it, but I made sure to keep that date on. So like when it was time, I was like, it's like, don't need to tell me twice. I am ready to unsubscribe from this waste of time. And it was very annoying. I was like, I don't have time for this. I want you gone. But another thing that I'd signed up for last year was I was able to get like Grubhub Plus for free for an entire year. And so I set it for like this year. But what had just happened, something I noticed like a couple of months ago was if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get Grubhub Plus for a year free, and you could still do that now. I think the promotion's still going on, so I just signed up again. So I have another year now. And also, Toby, since you just bought a bunch of like Apple products, you should be getting like Apple TV for like 3 or 6 months.
You beat me to what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
I just canceled my Apple Music that was because I had Apple Music from some other thing that I bought some time ago. I think what happened was first I had like a student account. Whoopsies. But I was able to verify. I forget what it is, that there's one particular thing that does verification, and as long as you have your university account, not all universities do, some will deactivate.
Right, yeah.
Let me not say. One university of mine that I went to, for whatever reason, still has. I have the email, I have the unlimited Google Drive, I have all of that, and thankfully They have not revoked my access 7 years later. So, and so I thankfully was able to use that to sign up for like a student account for Amazon, or because I kept unsubscribing Apple Music, just because I was like, I don't want to keep paying this, and I kept losing my intro. And so I was doing the student one, but eventually I was like, I'm going to cancel. But then when I bought some Best Buy thing earlier in the year, I was able to, it wasn't even a huge purchase, but thankfully it was enough where like I got some free Apple Music, and it was going to expire December like 3rd. So I canceled it like a week ago. And I was like, here's what we're going to do. Because what I tried to do a few weeks ago, I tried applying the free one that I got for my new purchases, but they said you can't use that with your current thing. So I was like, are they really going to make me cancel it? So I canceled it. And the day that it basically expired, I went ahead to my email from Best Buy. I think they gave me a shorter time. So instead of like the 90 days, I don't even think they gave me 30 days. They gave me until like near the end of January. So it was closer to like 45 days. But I'm going to cancel that. And I'm going to hope, because the thing about Best Buy, though, those things don't last forever. I actually missed a few from like earlier in the year that I didn't realize had expired, which is whatever. But like I was annoyed because I found out they expired in like September. And I tried applying them earlier last month. So anyway, these ones hopefully will stay for some time. I guess it might be 6 to 8 months. So I should be fine. Yeah, I should easily be fine to cancel Apple Music and reapply the new one that I just got. And then when that also expires, I'm going to cancel that, because at this point I have at least 3 offers for Apple Music, multiple for Apple TV, multiple for fitness, which I'm absolutely not using. And thankfully it's really, really convenient in the Apple, in the subscriptions tab or whatever. Oh, okay. When you go to like your phone, and I guess you can do it on your computer or just logging in, but it's super easy on the phone. A little harder if you don't have an Apple device, but you can go and see your subscriptions, and they'll just show you the timeline. It'll show you which ones. I don't know if it's in order, but like you can use a timer or whatever. And you can always cancel. So you can always just cancel it, and then it'll just expire automatically. And you can set a timer for when you want to renew a new one. That, of course, is if you're actually buying a bunch of Apple products. Don't do that on purpose to get free services. But if you need to buy the products, then you might as well get the free Apple TV and Music, which are probably the 2 most useful ones. I'm not using Apple TV, but Apple Music can be useful. I don't really use it that much, but I have a library and I have a listening history that I've accumulated, which I haven't really used Apple Music since 2020 when I got my work iPhone. I was bumping that thing, connecting it to my car, way better than, honestly, my Android. I'll be very honest. It was way easier to connect. It wasn't even like Apple CarPlay, because it wasn't a new car. It was like a 2016 Honda Civic. So it probably didn't have the fanciest interface, but it was just super easy to connect to the infotainment. And so I'm really happy to have my Apple Music, even if I don't use it, because I do think it's just a very well-made interface. Like Spotify is cool, but Apple Music has been way ahead with like listening history on the phone and certain other things that I'm just shocked that Spotify, as much as I've used it and I appreciate it, they just have only started implementing. They've only just started implementing simple stuff like listening history in your phone. You had to, on Spotify, really ghetto. You had to basically go to a playlist and you can click add new song, and then you can scroll through like a few different tabs of like different genres. And the fifth tab that you scroll through says recently played. So that's like the only way you could see your recently played songs was by attempting to add them to a playlist. And I was like, this is really dumb. Now you could go ahead and use that as a way of like saving your history to, but I was just like, this is dumb. So recently,
Right,
I think the Spotify has a history option in like your profile. But that's not even perfect either, because I've noticed there are some songs missing. And what the worst part is, if there's a song that only plays for a few seconds or something, like you skip it, it won't show up. Like YouTube, doesn't matter how shortly you play something, it'll be in your history. But with Spotify, I wasn't 100% doing that. The recently played playlist will show, I think, everything that you've played, but it does keep a lot of the history. But I don't know. I feel like Apple Music, they're really good on that department. So I will give them props, even as an Android user. But I digress before we get into a flame war on that front.
Oh, no.
No one's really going to like get to a war, but.
Right. I mean, like, I am in the market of getting a new phone. I've had my phone for like 4 years now. So I have noticed that like the Google Pixel 8 has, gotten a lot, like it's on sale right now for like $550, which is a good price. But I was like there are times when I keep thinking about like getting an iPhone. I'm like, should I actually like make that leap to go to an iPhone? Because I've just never had an iPhone before. But I don't know, like Siri just sucks. And I do use my Google Assistant a lot. Like when I'm driving, it like the calendar. I mean, I guess I could just get like the Google Calendar app on my iPhone and just maybe try to set it to be the main calendar. I mean, I don't mind Apple's calendar, but I don't know. Just Google, the Assistant and everything is just way better. And I feel like it's just going to be one of those things. Like if I were to go to an iPhone, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should check it out because I just never had an iPhone before. But I don't know. It's never felt like I was really missing anything. I know that, of course, like I have a MacBook. So, and I know that like with an iPhone, like it would be able to communicate a lot better together and all that stuff. But like, it's just, I don't know. It's just so weird of like how it just like, how iPhone and Apple just cocoons itself into like this thing. So I feel like if I were to go in, it's like, okay, I'm just going to have to be all in. And then that's just going to be my life.
Yeah. What do you call it? Like with Apple versus like whether it's the high end versus the budget. I mean, Android is pretty, like Samsung specifically is like pretty legit, but I think I'm trying to like word it, but I do think that would be a cool topic to like talk about some of the like differences. Like if you're someone who uses Mac versus Windows, iPhone versus Android. I'm trying to think of like other popular kind of product differences where it's like especially like with computers on my job, I was getting advice from people about getting a Mac, and they were saying like you actually they were saying like I got a little chart that was, I don't have access to it right now, but it was like you basically had, I think it was talking about like with gaming, like okay, they basically said like work, the Mac is outclassing, like even as someone that was they were just not, they were very apprehensive, and they were like they haven't looked back since getting a Mac years ago, and they said that for work and programming and development software, even just like if you have things like editing, like Photoshop, whatever, I mean Ecams, like there's so many things where if you just want to do productivity, Mac is just like it's just a whole different league. If you want to game, then there's no option. You gotta get yourself a Windows. If you want to game or do something like that, get yourself a Windows. Some people said they even have a Linux box for other stuff, which is interesting. I think for like server related stuff, maybe. I forget what the breakdown was, but they mentioned like they had that, and it was interesting to kind of see. So for a phone, I still have to kind of see what people really use what for, because a lot of people just use phones, right? It's not like they think about, oh, I'm gonna have my iPhone because it's gonna have this editing software. I really don't. I mean, cameras always, people argue about cameras. I really don't care that much. Personally, like this iPhone only has the 2. It's like the regular iPhone 14. I didn't get a Pro. I don't really care to get a Pro unless someone's paying for it. So I don't have 3 cameras. I don't really care. So some people do care a lot about that quality. I care more about storage, battery life, and performance. Unfortunately, I only have 128 gig only. 128 is good, but it fills up way too fast for me. For my iPhone, it's actually fine. My Android, it is not. Like, this Samsung keeps filling up even as I get new ones. I've had to replace this phone for problems, and it always is okay for a bit until it fills up.
Samsungs do that.
It's kind of absurd. I think like Pixel will be nice because you don't have the issue of redundant apps, but I've actually grown to like the redundant apps. They were not that good years ago, but now a lot of Samsung's apps are actually good quality. And they've consolidated a lot of things where they actually, I get this phone doesn't, but the newer Samsungs apparently use Google Messages, which I've never really messed with, but they are trying to compete with iCloud. So they're making RCS, which is a new type of messaging to compete, to transcend SMS. And so it has like the read features and the read receipts and the reactions. They call it advanced messaging, but if you have Google Messages, it's much more native. And so a lot of like phones are actually trying to, I think, slim down the features. I like Samsung because of the smart features. I like the Samsung Pass to save certain things, like for apps when you want to save passwords. It's like Apple Keychain. Google has their saving, but I'm not sure how extensive it is. So the point is that like there's pros and cons of like having certain phones. I think a Pixel is cool because it is so slim and you can probably see the storage not get nonsensically big. But I think as the phones get more advanced, they'll figure out ways of not having as much bloat, and the OS will be less. They'll have ways of being able to reduce the overspreading of storage, the way that they do updates and stuff. But imperfect solutions, imperfect systems that are still being solved. So now I really rest my case.
Okay, but that's definitely a conversation for another time for sure. But as of this time, we are going to have to bring our stream to a close. It is 11 p.m. on, 10:59 p.m. on the East Coast. I don't want to lie to y'all. That's what I'm getting. I don't know if y'all are in the future or in the past, but it's damn near 11 p.m. on the East Coast. So with that, thank you all so much for watching. We love and appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all so much for sticking it out with us. Please join us not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, which should be the 20th? The 19th? 19th, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, turn off the lights, the party's over. Yeah. Of course, please join us in the Discord. I'll share the link. Copy. So you don't have to wait 2 weeks to hang out and talk to us. You can talk to us in the Discord. Of course, in the Discord, you can also suggest other topics and things that you'd like for us to talk about. Of course, if you ever want to join, you're more than welcome to join us. As you can see, we have a lovely 4th spot that we're kind of using as like that awkward fourth slot, like if you ever played Mario Kart, and like that area would be like the map if you only had like 3 people to play with. Yes, go Knowles. Go Knowles. All day, every day. Actually, I was like wondering if y'all could like see. I have like my hats up here, and like one of my hats is an FSU hat. Well, 2 of them actually. But yeah, go Knowles.
Oh yeah.
And go Blue.
Not hip.
Blue.
Yes, go Blue.
Blue.
Both doing really well, but FSU for whatever reason is getting shafted. Anyway.
Oh man.
Like both 13-0, but okay.
Right.
Regardless, it's good as one of our teams at least. But go Blue Knowles.
Go Blue Knowles. Yes. Is that a new football team? Well,
I don't know. Knowles, like we'd probably get mad because one of our biggest rivals, University of Florida, their colors are blue and orange. So, like, calling us blue, it's like,
That's fair.
Yeah, it's like those are fine words. Like it's so crazy because even if I'm like about to go to the gym or something, I have something that's like orange at the top. I can't wear blue shorts. I can't do that. I have to find some other color shorts. Or I'll be like, I guess I'm just not going to the gym today if all I have is blue shorts and an orange top or something like that. It's like, well, I tried.
Respect.
Yeah, I was like, nope, can't do that. Can't do it. But as always, we love y'all. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time. Go Knowles, go Blue.
Yes, go Blue.
Go the color. That one.
Yes. Go the color. All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Love y'all.
Bye.